Welcome to A Woman's Brew, where women talk about beer. In today's episode, we have our first female guest.
We need a sound effect.
We do need a sound effect. Phantom Brewing Co.'s marketing and social media manager, Charlotte, has joined us. I'm Joanne, and this is Tori.
Hello.
And we're two beer-loving women on a mission to get more people drinking and talking about great beer. Come join us.
So I think we're pretty excited, if I do say so myself, because you're our actual first female guest. That's obviously not the two of us. So we're very yay, excited. Not that we don't like our male guests, but obviously it's like every time we're like, someone from a brewery is coming on, it's like, oh, it's another guy. So it's nice to have another, female company. Obviously, I'm excited it's you. We've chatted on Zoom chats and stuff quite a bit. So I'm excited that you're with us as well. And I'm also excited because when I think of Phantom, I feel like I know a lot about Phantom because I'm local to you guys. But then I totally forgot about the fact that if you're not local, if you're not in the Berkshire area, you might not know Phantom as much. So Joanne may not know as much about you guys. So I'm excited. So tell us who you are, tell us who you're from, and tell us about yourselves.
So yes, I'm very happy to be here, first and foremost. Thank you very much for having me on. I'm Charlotte. I work for Phantom Brewing Company in Reading. We're a pretty young business. We celebrated our first birthday at the end of October just last year. And I've worked for Phantom since September last year. Basically the company, the brewery was set up by Dane and Dom, absolutely inseparable, sometimes insufferable, the pair of them. So those two, they've been home brewing together for years, really, really good friends. Have known each other since they were 15, I think. And they decided they wanted to set up a brewery. They spent ages and ages planning it and then put it together. The two of them towards the end of 2019 opened with a bar on site. And the goal was always basically to make really accessible styles of beer and by and large for them to be of pretty sessionable strengths. I remember Dane saying ages ago that he wanted them to be the sorts of beers that people would want to have more than one of, which I think is a pretty good goal. I think it's something that largely has been stuck to, save for a few specials. They're all beers that are pretty moreish. The team has grown to now there's 9 of us, myself included, 9 full-timers. So it's still really, really a very small business. But that has left us at a little bit of an advantage in the absolute shit show that has been the last year. We've had the ease of being able to adapt a little bit quicker than people perhaps with larger teams on different sorts of contracts and everything. And also additionally, a big factor, a big thing that factors into Phantom and the way that we operate is that since day one, we've had a bar on site. Rather than starting up a brewery and then seeing how things go and then setting up a tap room, the tap room was always something that was intended to be part and parcel of the company, which I believe, I'm sure they'll correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that was something that Dane and Dom very much took from the American brewery model of every brewery has its bar on site. Every tap room is very much a destination where they have everything. They have all their house beers on. It's where all their locals go. That's Phantom in a nutshell, I suppose. Yeah. Did I say we're based in Reading? I think I did.
Yeah. It's funny that you mentioned the house beers because I noticed when I was going through to pull out these snippets that we use for later in the episode, which I'm sure you're very excited about. I noticed that you've got Meadow Road, which is it's called a house pale. That's the description that was on Tapped was house pale, and I thought that was quite interesting because it's you go to a restaurant you've got your house red and your house white, and it's just so funny in a cool way that it's it's a brewery, here's our house pale, can I offer you our finest house pale? And it is
pale, really popular.
I love it.
So we're on our 4th version of that at the moment, actually, the Meadow Road. We do can it, and it does go out to trade, but I believe the majority of our sales of that are on site. It's always 4.5%, and each version just a slightly different hop bill, basically. And the 5th version, I think, is currently in tank. I'm not going to say what it is, but I'm quite excited about it. So there will be more details on that. But it is just something that we always want to switch it up, not in a dramatic way, not anything too, out of left field, but just something a little bit different each time, so that our house pale, and obviously we're based on Meadow Road in Reading as well, so it seemed the obvious title for that category of beer.
I was going to say we should probably because I know the location, having gone to pick up. I got my sweet. I'm wrapping my sweet varsity jacket. I was very excited for this.
Been going on about that
I don't want to.
So long.
Yeah, I don't want to take it off. Like it's on me now permanently, so I know where the location is. And I was going to say, it's probably quite important to highlight that, so people are like, "What's Meadow Road? What is that?"
I assumed it was a road around or near the brewery.
Can you imagine if she was like, "No,
made it up"?
It's actually in Leeds.
Yeah,
you're never going to believe it. But yeah, but this is the thing as well. Dane and Dom are both Reading born and raised, so they're both of them are very much keen on emphasizing the Reading roots, which is pretty cool. And we are in a fantastic location as well. We're about 10 minutes away from the station, so I get the train into work. It's about a 10-minute walk, and about 10 minutes in the other direction is the site of a festival that takes place in Reading. It's a little festival. I don't know if you.
It's just some festival that happens in
Reading. I don't know. It's pretty indie. It's pretty hipster.
Yeah. Yeah.
You wouldn't know about it.
Yeah. She goes to another school.
Yeah, brilliant. But yeah, no, I thought that was cool, and I was like, why shouldn't like a brewery have a house beer like that? It's just like the coolest idea in my opinion. But it's funny that you mentioned that their goal was kind of like to create these beers that you'd want to drink more than one time, because I think a lot of us, and I'm not going to speak for both of you guys, but I think a lot of us tend to go, I'll try one of everything instead of going back. But the first one, I know you've had a long shift today, I've had a long day, I don't know about you, Joe. I'm ready to crack a beer, and the first one that we're going to have is one I've had before a few times, and it is really good. So I had it last night with my pizza kit, and it was great. So we're going to start on Feeling This.
Yeah, baby.
Yeah.
So do you want to tell us a bit about it?
Yeah, so Feeling This was the OG Phantom beer. It's the dead giveaway from day dot that Dane and Dom are very, very big pop punk fans. It was the first Phantom beer I tried before I started working for the brewery as well, so I've got very fond memories of it. Yeah, I mean, the easiest way to describe this, it is one of our biggest sellers for a reason, is that it's across the board, it's just an incredibly well balanced, easy drinking, soft hazy pale, which is a style that at the moment everyone, and I don't blame them, everyone's kicking out these wonderful hazy pale ales at the moment. It's at a really, really good sessionable strength. It's Columbus Citra Cascade and Mosaic. So nice even balance. No, I wouldn't say there's any hugely overpowering overwhelming punchy notes that come through from any of those. I think it's just a really nice balance of citrusy sort of sharpness, nice kind of fluffy soft mouthfeel, little bit of juicy sweetness coming through, but none of them really talk over any of the others. I think it all kind of sings with each other quite nicely, and it is one that is intended to be drunk by the pint. It's a good times beer. It's I think it suits all occasions quite well. And I think this is probably the fourth time we've brewed it now, because it does always go down well in the tap room, in cans, out to trade. So yeah, cheers.
Yeah, cheers. I think part of it, for anyone that doesn't know, I mean, I'll show if you're watching the video as opposed to listening. It's the label. If you know, you know, is what I feel like I should say about it. But if you don't know, Feeling This is the title of a Blink-182 album, and the can art basically looks like it's the song. It's
track one on their self-titled.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Was it's the album cover that Feeling This is from. and yeah, it's interesting that it's track one, and yeah, that's it's an interesting little thing, because you guys also did online songs, didn't you?
We did, yes, for our first birthday. Which I thought was an absolutely fantastic beer. It was just so pure orange. So that one was a little bit stronger. It was 6 or 6.5. So it had a little bit more heft to it, a little bit more. And yeah, it was just this pure punchy, tropical, juicy hot bomb, and it went absolutely insane. And when we put online songs out, it was around the same time that we rebrewed Feeling This. People went absolutely nuts for it, and that was when we started introducing shipping to mainland Europe, because we were getting so many requests. It was absolutely insane. We were getting so many requests from like beer drinkers and Blink-182 fans from all over the place. Like, you know, I remember when we made a post about it, and we put up like an Instagram story, and within like an hour, I'd been inundated with Instagram notifications and stuff saying, hey, could you ship this to Lima? Could you ship this to, you know, like Guatemala? And like, well, I mean, I could try. I don't know how much that would cost, but like, it was amazing. Like the reach that we had off of it, it was really, really cool. So we did manage to bring in mainland Europe shipping, and it for online songs and Feeling This were the main thing. And during the second lockdown of November, I think that was a huge, like the fact that both those beers were so well received was a big boost for us, because we'd just celebrated our first birthday on Halloween. We had so much fun, and then we went straight back into lockdown again, and it was a bit of a bummer, really, because we weren't sure exactly how things were going to go, because everything's been so unpredictable lately. But the fact that consistently we were getting all these pictures sent through to us from people who had these beers sent to them, it was a joy, really. It was really good fun.
I think they were both really gorgeous. Like I drank them back to back, and they were just both gorgeous in their own way. But like, so I guess when I went into it, I was expecting sort of similar taste. I think I said to you before in a chat, I was expecting more of a similar taste, because I thought, oh, maybe it was kind of like a rebrew and a slightly changed version of Feeling This is what you did for online songs. It's like, no, they were completely stood on their own legs, completely entirely. And they were both just so, I loved them so much. I'm curious to know Joe's thoughts on this one, because I've had it before multiple times. What are your thoughts on it, Joe?
So you know, transparency here. This is my first ever Phantom Brewing Co. beer. It's amazing. Like, so when I'm teaching my beer classes, like often it comes up, like, you know, we're talking about mouthfeel or whatever, and someone goes, "What? People say pillowy. What does pillowy mean?" This is what pillowy is. Like, I'm just gonna be like, right, go find this brewery called Phantom, go find their beer Feeling This and drink it, and then you will understand what pillowy is. Like, it's juicy, and I know it's got mosaic in it because I can smell the broccoli.
every time with her.
I was just like, if it's got mosaic, it's going to smell like broccoli. Yup.
I don't often get broccoli from mosaic. For me, it's always the scallions that comes through. If there's a lot of, that's the one for me. It's not so much the broccoli, it's the scallions.
I never smelled broccoli until she started going.
Until I started doing it. Yeah.
And then now, every time I even see mosaic, I'm like, oh, it's going to be broccoli.
It's
a good thing I like eating my greens, isn't it?
Right,
Otherwise, I'd be absolutely buggered in this.
Right. I love broccoli,
work.
so for me, I'm like, bring it on. But that's high. It's also really high praise, because Joanne is not. She likes the darker beers.
Well,
more
I don't.
than the
I don't
beers.
mind a pale ale. Some like IPAs can sometimes be a little bit too bitter for me. It's the bitterness that gets me.
I see. Yeah.
I like something juicy and fruity, and this is just gorgeous.
Oh yeah, I'm so glad you like it.
Yeah, I love it.
Like I said, it would have been a bit
we were saying before we started recording, it was like, if I don't like any of these, this could be a problem.
I didn't, to be honest, I was like, you will. Like,
she didn't. She was just like, we're just getting these beers. You'll love them, and I'm like, okay.
I did say, I was like, oh, it's going to be so interesting, because I was like, what I know Phantom for is so much like hoppy, like IPAs, pales, like those type of beers, and I was like, this is going to be interesting. I was like, but I know that the quality is so good, that you're just going to love it. So I didn't even, when I saw them, I was like, yeah, she's going to love this. So I'm curious to know what you think of the dip. That's going to be really
when we crack that afterwards.
I think the other thing about Feeling This that I really enjoy so much as well is that just me on a personal level, like I say, obviously, a nice hazy pale is such an accessible style for drinkers at the moment that, understandably, like 90% of breweries in the UK have a hazy pale in their like flagship lineup. And some of them, while they taste delicious, I think some of them are a little bit heavy on the palate for me. They just end up weighing you down. Like you might have a pint or two, and then you're like, I feel pretty full now. Like they get a little bit, you know, I don't want to say like claggy because that sounds like I'm being nasty, but just for my personal taste, they get a little bit on the heavier side for me.
Yeah.
And I think that feeling this has just got enough of that like citrus sherbet that sort of just gives it a little lift at the end, which I think, you know, brings it back round that I don't feel like I'm just weighing myself down with liquid, basically.
Yeah, it's lovely and light.
I think that, or like sometimes I find it can be with certain ones, it can also be like quite, depending on how crisp they are, can be a bit more like gassy as well. And you're kind of like, oh, I feel a bit like bloated. Like I personally go, oh, I feel a bit bloated now. I've had too many of those. Like I can't got to change it up. So, but
I will say, I mean, as light as it is, I would say downing a pint of feeling this would probably still be difficult.
Yeah.
But maybe that's just me.
But I don't think, to be fair, I don't think if you were to just down it, like I just feel like you wouldn't really get a chance to appreciate like everything that's in it.
Like, we're not students anymore.
No, this is a beer to savor. It's not a beer to be chugging.
To be fair, it's one that I feel like you could drink quite quickly without realizing how quickly you're drinking it.
Like on a
it's
hot
so
day.
rich.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Yeah, you could go through a few of these.
And it paired very well with the pizza last night. I got the Phantom and Friends pizza kit. Everything does go well with pizza. Like pizza goes well with life. Like I had pizza again tonight, Joe. Don't judge me. But like this was what I don't normally drink beer when I have pizza, but I was like, because it came in this Phantom and Friends pizza kit, like I'm gonna try it together because I'm assuming they've picked this beer for a reason. So I was just like, I'll try it. And it paired very well. I was like, it complemented the flavors. So yeah, well done.
Just an interesting thing about pizza and beer, or just like pizza and pubs in general. I was thinking about this the other day. About 4 or 5 years ago, the pub I worked at was part of a pub company that most of the other pubs, their kitchens were sort of like standard, like gastropub, like chain sort of stuff. So, you know, burgers, wings, chips, you know, that sort of thing. But this pub, the pub I worked at, they got a refurb and put in a pizza oven, and so many people didn't necessarily kick off about it, but I remember them saying like, that's insane, who goes to a pub and has a pizza? And I'm over the moon about it now. Like ever since, you know, I'm not saying this pub was the trendsetter, it absolutely wasn't. It was tiny and like in the middle of nowhere, but like so many places now, it's pizza is the food of choice, which I think is maybe a testament to the way that people's eating and drinking habits have changed. Maybe people aren't necessarily going to the pub to have a sit down meal. I mean, unless they're forced to have a Scotch egg, people aren't necessarily going to the pub to have a sit down meal.
Yeah,
it's, you know, I'm going with a couple of friends, I want to have something I can, you know, pick at, put in the middle of the table, and each of us all have a bit, which is why pizza kind of fits that perfectly. So that's just something I thought I'd put in just about like bar food and taproom food in general, because it's something that's been on my mind a lot lately, especially with the way that undoubtedly when things do open up, people's drinking habits after COVID are going to change so much.
Yeah.
So,
I think it's just a testament to how good pizza is, just across the board. Like,
I mean, that too.
Who doesn't love pizza? Like, if you don't love pizza, like, who hurt you? What's happened? But
the pizza broke into my house when I was very, very young. Okay, it was actually Papa John himself.
This was why I can never eat a pepperoni pizza again. I'm conscious that obviously we've got 2 more beers to get through, and we don't want to keep you for a massively long time. So I thought basically with the pubs opening up in the coming weeks, you guys are going to be opening your doors again. Might be interesting to talk a bit about pub culture. So I know that obviously you mentioned at the start about how you guys had the drinking facility set up from the start because that's what you wanted to go for. I thought it'd be quite interesting to kind of understand a bit more about, you know, sort of Phantom's drinking in culture as opposed to just, you know, fill up your growler and go sort of thing. So tell us more about that.
So the ethos behind Phantom has very much always been, in the most simplistic way possible, is just to genuinely just have a proper laugh. Like, that is the main thing. And the idea behind putting together the tap room, the haunt, as we call it, of course, because we're witty like
nice.
that. So the reason that the Horn is run the way that it is because we wanted to create a place where we feel like we could all go, and when Dane and Dom created it, they wanted to make somewhere that they could go and they would want to visit if it weren't their own. And for all of us, why we run it the way we do is so that we feel like we would want to bring our mates and our family there. We would want to go and sit in this bar and have a few beers and have a laugh, basically. And to that end, we basically want to ensure that it fulfills that purpose for as many people as we possibly can. So I mean, in a physical sense, the space is incredibly open. It's incredibly physically open. Obviously, Tori, you visited yesterday. We had enough room to put in a couple of things that we just really wanted to
so there is a ski ball machine.
There is ski ball.
I was like, what is that in the corner?
Because I don't know what ski ball is.
Well, I don't.
Sorry, your face.
I mean, I've heard of it. I know it was in Dogma.
It's like when you go.
I didn't really know what it was.
When you go to an arcade, and then there's like little circles, and then you've got these little like mini bowling ball skittle things, and then you've got to throw it up the ramp, and they're all different points, and you've got to get the I feel like I'm not even doing it justice, but I was like
especially in an audio format. In an audio format, I don't think that's the best advert for ski ball, but I'm also not sure I could do a better job. But
I don't really know how else you can explain it other than toss a bunch of balls up a ramp and into a different hole that's labeled with points, and you want the highest points possible.
That sounds fair.
Yeah, like on a quite superficial level, the things we put in for ourselves to be able to have a good time are things like the ski ball and the shuffleboard and the arcade games and stuff like that. But also something that I noticed when I first went to Phantom, long before I started working there, when they just opened, was the fact that the way the place is set up is it very much feels like it doesn't cater to just one sort of person, if that makes sense. Like I even noticed when I first went to the tap room that there were tampons in the loos, and I was like, oh cool, they've acknowledged that there are people who are going to need them. I was like,
well done.
Yeah. I was like, cool, I'm on board with this.
Yeah.
But things like that, things like the fact that the space has always been put together to essentially we've got enough space that we can kind of play with it however we want. We can kind of put in, the physical extras and accoutrements that we wish to do, while at the time also being able to ensure that physically the area is accessible, because obviously people have different levels of abilities, to make sure that we have a space where people feel welcomed regardless of their gender, their sexuality, or anything like that, and to ensure that it's a place where all of these different kinds of people can genuinely just get together and have a laugh. So to that end, that it's always been very much a process of coming at everything with very much a kind of a light-hearted, we don't take ourselves too seriously sort of attitude, and we want to just all muck about and play these arcade games together and stuff like that and have a few pints of feelingness. But at the same time, there's always an underlying focus of keeping a close eye on what we can do to make all of our customers feel safe and welcome, to make sure that everyone we have in is behaving in a way that we feel proud to have on our establishment. Because I mean, the way I always see it is when you're running a bar, when you're hosting an event, when you're working in a tap room, you're basically just hosting a massive party, and whoever that space is your house at the end of the day. So you want the place to be clean, you want everyone to be happy, you want everyone to have a full glass, and if you see anyone causing any trouble, or if you see anyone who looks like they are making anyone else feel uncomfortable, it's your responsibility as the homeowner to get them out and to make the rest of your guests feel happy about it. And that's not the most like deep or like socio-political way of looking into it. There are people who can word these issues of, accessibility and equality far better than I can. But in its most simplistic form, it is just about hosting a party that everyone feels like they can be comfortable in. And that's very much the goal with the Horn. We want to be in a space, and we want to create a space where everyone is basically happy to dick about and have a good time.
I think that example is really good.
Yeah, no, that was a really good analogy.
Yeah.
I was just saying to Tori before we came on, that actually this week Burum Collective put out a blog post. Have you read
Yes.
it?
Yes,
About
I
pub
absolutely
culture.
loved it.
Yeah, about pub culture, written by my friend Ellie, Hoppy Raptor, if you're on Instagram.
Oh my god! Oh, cool! Yeah. So this is that's awesome. Yeah. So obviously I didn't know.
Yeah,
I haven't read it yet.
Yeah, so she's Hoppy Raptor wrote it. I'm very proud of her. It's the first time she's been published. She's very excited. Brilliant piece. But in that it says, you know, like sometimes like we've kind of romanticized pub culture a little bit while we can't go to the pub. And yes, it is, you know, it has always been that place in the center of the community where people go. But sometimes some people don't feel comfortable going into pubs because of various different reasons. You know, women haven't always been allowed in pubs. People of color haven't always been allowed in pubs. Gay people haven't always been allowed in pubs, or if they have gone, they've had bad experiences. So it is important that we think about this and we make inclusive spaces, and that's what you're doing. That's amazing.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I think the fact that I think that like that's something that I think everyone should be making a conscious effort to do, because if you're not making a conscious effort to do it, you're being passive is basically almost just as bad as as being actively negative, discriminatory, detrimental to these people who are being marginalized. Because I mean, I couldn't live with myself if there was someone in the Horn who was feeling uncomfortable by what is being said at the table next to them, you know, whether it's people making racist jokes or anything like that. I couldn't live with myself to know that other people are feeling so uncomfortable or unsafe or insecure in their own, you know, in their own place in that bar because of what someone else might be saying. Jesus, I would never treat a house guest like that. I would never want someone to feel like that in my home. So I don't want someone to feel like that at the brewery either. And I think the way that it was Ellie King, wasn't it?
Yeah.
The way that article was worded by Ellie, I thought was absolutely fantastic. I mean, I love the stuff that Burum are doing at the moment. I think it's so cool. I'm such a big fan of the whole, you know, of the whole emphasis on making education in the drinks industry a really big priority, because I think that quite a lot of the time it can be intimidating for people to want to get into it. And I definitely, even though the fact that I work in the industry, sometimes I get that sense of, you know, being unsure. And I think the focus on making that accessible to all is a really great thing. But specifically that article that Ellie wrote, especially because I knew I wanted to talk a bit about, you know, what we try to do and what sort of culture we try to create. Reading that, I was literally sitting in my flat going, yes, this is brilliant.
This is it.
Like, it was so good. I mean, one thing about it that really got me was the discussion about like blokes being overly like macho, you know, like the dude bro displays in the pub. Like, this is what we get up to.
I've got to drink I'm going to drink the strongest ABV. I'm going to drink it the quickest. I'm going to have the most of it. And it's like, no one's watching you. No one cares.
It's not cool. And I mean, and a lot, I'm willing to bet a lot of these guys wouldn't even think about it. And if you turn to them, a mate or an acquaintance or whoever, and said, do you realize what you're doing makes other people quite uncomfortable, or, you know, makes other people feel this way? I'm sure that I like to think the best of people. I'm sure that you know, these blokes would probably go, oh, I didn't even think of that. And, you know, perhaps reconsider or just reassess, you know, what they're doing. And I think that was such a good point of something that, whilst in its most simple, you know, it, like at the core of it, it might not look like, it's not someone being overtly, you know, sexist. It's not someone being overtly racist or homophobic or anything. But it acts like, displays like that can be so off-putting to other people. When you go into these places and it's just a bunch of dudes essentially having a pissing contest and getting all excited about being so blokey with each other, it can be a bit like, okay, where's my place here? Like, where do I really fit? And it can be quite isolating. I don't know about you, but it can just feel a bit like you're kind of on your own in those positions.
Yeah, and I also think you kind of don't, like, I can only speak for myself, but in those situations, it's always kind of like, you're like, oh, so irritating, like, it's making me feel a bit uncomfortable. But then also, like, I don't want to be I'm not the most quiet person. Like, I will happily go up to someone and be like, yeah, excuse me, could you stop? But like, it depends. If you're sort of outnumbered and you feel like you're the only person that's uncomfortable, you don't want to be that person that goes and like kills the vibe by going up to somebody. So when the staff member does it,
kill now.
But if a staff member comes up and is like, yeah, sorry, actually you're being a bit disruptive, like, you kind of want to be like, oh my god, high five me please, because you're like, I didn't have to be the bad guy.
Yeah. I mean, like, one thing about this whole thing about, you know, like these displays can make, even if it's not, I don't know how should I word this, a lot of the times people acting like this, as I say, even if they're not intending to be, say, malicious, when you hear like the staff members sort of either you know, laugh along or just kind of ignore it and brush over it, you kind of really lose your faith a little bit. You're kind of like, okay, well, what if this escalates? What if they start making, you know, at the moment they're just making a couple of sort of, you know, couple of comments that are a bit on the edge and a bit like, I'm not sure if I like what they're saying. If it escalates, they have a couple more drinks and inhibitions get lowered, as they do, and they start saying more things that are just not acceptable, that are just not pleasant. I mean, you know, are the staff members still going to brush over it? Am I going to be in a position now where I kind of just have to get out of here, and you know, I'm going to end up having negative memories of this evening because of the fact that I didn't have anyone having my back? So
I think you also kind of feel like does, like, especially if it's like a bigger group, are you like, you kind of start feeling like, oh, do you care more about the bigger group because they're going to pay more than maybe me on my own? So therefore me feeling uncomfortable, you know, does that get trumped by, you know, 5 guys who are being, or whoever, 5 people, saying things that, you know, make people around them uncomfortable? And I get it. Like, I think when you the people in the group that are doing it, like you said, I don't think it's malicious all the time. I don't think they realize. I think sometimes the bigger the group is as well, the more that you see your group and you don't even realize how loud you're being, the fact that other people around you are noticing you, and it's all about like how it's communicated. So if somebody just comes up to you and it's like, sorry, could you guys just maybe a little bit, like, you know, if they don't sort of get the hint, that's one thing. But I think a lot of times, like you said, you know, people will get that and they'll go, oh, sorry, I didn't need to do that.
I like to try and be optimistic about people in general. I like to try and think that if you point out to someone in a gentle but firm manner, you know, like, I'm gonna need you to calm it down a bit. I'm gonna need you to, you know, gonna need you to moderate your language. I'm gonna, you know, whatever it is. I think that largely people will just be like, you know, oh God, sorry, all right, sorry, you know.
Didn't realise.
One superpower I did notice I had when I started working in pubs is that I accidentally have a mum voice when I get angry.
Mum voice is the best. I've got a teacher voice as well.
It's a superpower, isn't it?
Yeah.
You've got it. I remember, you know, I used to work in a pub that showed a lot of sports, and you know, sports is a tribal affair. People get quite loud and quite passionate.
Lively. Lively.
And I sometimes, at the time I was 18 as well. I was fresh out of dropping out of university, and suddenly this mum voice just came out of me, and I was like, damn, I'm gonna have to keep that up my sleeve. That's gonna come in handy at some point. But I will say that the really good thing about Phantom, obviously they pay my wages, but no, the really good thing about Phantom is that
paid for.
The really good thing is that in spite of the fact that it's, you know, it's a lot of blokes, and of the 9 that we have 2 full-time ladies, the other 7 are guys. I've never once felt like I'm, you know, I've never either felt disenfranchised or tokenized for being a woman in the company, which is a really good thing. And it doesn't feel like it's not macho culture. I mean, they're a bunch of clowns, make no mistakes.
But that's different.
I was going to say, there's a misconception though. There's a misconception that like women can't also be clowns. Like, you know, I mean, like we can't joke around, we can't do any of that. Like we know
all relentlessly take the mickey out of each other to a horrific extent. And if I got let off of having the mickey taken out of me because I was being tokenized as the lady in the staff group,
Right.
I would feel absolutely gutted. I don't want to be in that position. But I will happily say that at Phantom, these things are taken
Equal
care
opportunity piss take. That's what it is.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But like I like the fact that things are listened to and taken seriously. Like if I literally just today, it was something a complete non-issue, but I just said, oh, by the way, from a woman's perspective, might want to reconsider just switching this up. And they just went, oh yeah, good point, thanks for raising that. And I'm like, good. It shouldn't be a relief that I don't have to fight my corner on things like that, but it was a relief of like, I'm glad that I'm in a place where it's acknowledged that not everyone is going to be of the exact same type of demographic as you. So that's quite a relief. And obviously not everywhere is like this. I'm very blessed to be in a position where I work in this place where we want to be, moving forward, we want to continue to better ourselves and be a company that is fully welcoming and fully inclusive to absolutely everyone who comes our way. And not everywhere's like this. And it does fill me with a lot of wholesome joy and hope that there are so many companies, so many businesses and individuals in the beer industry at the moment who are fighting the good fight, who are really speaking up about that, especially because pub culture is, as you said, Joanne, it's so traditionally macho, and it can be very chauvinistic, homophobic, racist, all the nasty things. And there are a lot of places where that's incredibly deeply rooted. So it makes me happy that we have the chance to be the change.
Imagine some of that relief that like the way you're saying, like, I shouldn't have to feel relieved, but I kind of did feel relieved. I imagine like part of that might be as well that if you've never been in a situation where you've had to face, like, if it's always been, I'm trying to figure out how to word it, if it's always been that it's so inclusive, there's probably been very few situations where you're like, oh my God, I have to speak up and I have to say something in that specific setting, where you're like, oh no. I mean, at Phantom specifically, not so much across the board.
Oh, right.
That it's the like, oh, how are these guys going to take it if you've had bad past experiences, you might be like, oh, how are these guys going to take it if I chime in? Is that going to be like a hot topic issue, or is it gonna go down okay? And then when it goes down okay, you're like, okay, cool, that's like sort of done and done. Like, okay, cool, now we know where everyone stands on that.
Absolutely. And I always feel like I'm having a conversation from an equal standpoint, in that if I say something that needs to be taken into consideration, it will be taken into consideration. If I say something stupid, they'll tell me I'm being stupid. And I like the fact that we're very much very much at an equal standpoint there. Because I mean, there have been times, like, as you said before, Tori, like that, there's this whole thing of I don't want to spoil the fun. I think a lot of the times, I am sure loads and loads of other women, and I can't speak for anybody of different races or sexualities here, but I'm sure it happens to a lot of people who are marginalized in different industries or different social settings, where you kind of feel like, I don't want to speak up because I'll kill the fun, and then I'll be the troublemaker, I'll be the difficult one here, because then it will be, oh, we don't want to, no, don't invite Charlotte down the pub, because all she does is she gets annoyed and talks about feminism if we call her bird. And I'm like, well,
I'm the difficult one.
I think I should just get that tattooed on my forehead.
Yeah,
but like, I think like you don't want to be painted as like being like, oh, they're no fun because you can't make a joke because they always get this. Well, you have to understand how like there's a fine line between there's a fine line between having an established joke with your mates and saying things that are just outright
colourful.
Like disenfranchising towards people who are marginalized in so many different ways. And I think there's a fine line with that. And so many times I've kind of just, not so much recently, I'm far more outspoken, and I'm proud about that in recent years, but especially when I was freshly out of my parents' house and out and about in the world and being all young and excited about everything, so many times I would shut myself up, just being like, oh, but I'm hanging out with the guys. I don't want to be difficult. Like, I don't want to.
Yeah.
I'm not going to make this about me. No, I'm hanging out with the guys. These guys are really. And it's like, oh man, I want to go back and shake young Charlotte and be like, what were you doing? Like, why are you trying to like? are you trying to impress all these stupid people? Why are you don't be afraid of being difficult, basically. Sometimes you've got to be difficult to make your point, to put your point across.
If people weren't difficult, the world would never progress. Like, we would just never have a progression if everyone was like, oh, I don't want to be difficult. Like, oh, I'd like to maybe improve the way these like codes for this thing works. I don't want to be difficult, so maybe let's just not. Like, it just would
the
never
other thing
happen.
as well. It's like, oh, I had a point. Never mind.
Well, I think the other thing
flowed out of my brain.
I think the other thing though is about that difficult thing. Like, I don't know if either of you can relate to this, but I found like there might be something that like I'm personally not offended by myself, but someone says something like in a setting. Like, I remember being out like at the cinema with somebody, and they were like saying there was obviously someone that was transgendered coming out of a bathroom, and they were like, look at, and I was like, look at what? And they were like, oh, like, you know, look at them. And I was just like, there's nothing to look at. They're coming out of the toilet, what is there to look at? And it's like, you know, like, obviously that's not directed to me. It's not something that like I'm personally going to be offended by, in the sense of like, it's not targeting me, but it makes me feel uncomfortable to be around somebody that's saying something that could hurt somebody else, and it is targeted to somebody else. And so it's that thing of like,
it's just cruel. It's just cruel. Yeah. It's like watching kids picking on each other on the bus home from school, and you see them picking on like the little kid with the bad haircut or something, like, but obviously on a much larger societal scale. Yeah. But the principle's the same, is that you like much larger. I don't mean to trivialize anything here. But
we like to paint in broad strokes here. It's fine.
It's fine. Like, and like this, the principle being the same is that, you know, I would be quite wary around someone who doesn't have the empathy to feel discomfort or to feel sorry for someone who's being treated in a poor way. Like, whether it's on a superficial level or on a case of, you know, serious marginalization. Like, the thing I was going to say, it has come back to me. I know, I'm so proud of myself. The thing I was going to say is that quite often you do get told, if you point out to someone, you know, the things you're saying, you know, that's not okay, that's not good talk, they'll be like, oh, well, you're ruining my fun. Like, oh, we're just having
it's just a joke.
It's just a laugh. It's just a laugh.
Ruining the
fun. I mean it.
It's just a joke. Yeah. Just banter, mate. It's just banter.
Banter. You're being emotional. You're just being an emotional female. It's just a joke. It's banter.
The one that always gets me is when it's like a sexist beer name or something like that. I'm going off on a tangent here, but this is what we do. This is what we do.
This is what we do on the podcast. So like, we were supposed to talk about pub culture, and we've like it's 15 minutes before we're supposed to let you go, and we're not even on the second beer.
Not even on the second beer.
That's what we do.
Don't worry. It's Saturday night. It's Saturday night, and Sundays I don't work. Tomorrow, the only thing I have on my agenda is doing a face mask and drinking a growler full of stout. So
perfect. That sounds like the best Sunday ever.
It's a wonderful routine, I have to say. All under the banner of self-care.
It's so good. That's the best. Right, so sexist beer names, and you get like, someone's like, oh, people are talking about this sexist beer name, but it's just funny, isn't it? But well, no, it's not. And then you get the women going, oh yeah, no, but I think it's funny, so it can't be sexist. But yes, it can, because there are people telling you that it is making them uncomfortable, and that is stopping them from being part of this community. And we shouldn't be stopping anybody from being a part of our communities.
Yeah,
and I think bottom line.
And I think that's it. Is like, sorry, Tiny Red Bull, for example, they had that like the gardener advert up that was like, trim your bush or whatever. And I'm not gonna lie, like, I laughed at it because I've made comments of like, I'm going outside, I'm going, oh, ha ha ha, funny. But like, it becomes a problem when in a professional setting. Exactly, it's a professional versus like jokes with your mates at home and knowing your audience and all that. But also, the fact is, when you are saying it in a professional setting, it doesn't matter if out of three of us, one of us says like, oh, I'm comfortable with it, it made me laugh. That doesn't give you the right to say two other people have said it's made them feel uncomfortable. Therefore, we're going to go with the one person that suits our agenda and not the two people that's like, because no, if you feel it's uncomfortable, it's uncomfortable.
I think it sets a precedent as well of being like, oh, well, it's a little bit of a naughty joke, so let's make some more naughty jokes. Like, it kind of sets that precedent, which is
slippery
quite a dangerous
slope,
path to be on. Exactly. And
not that I should have just named, like I should not have just, but I was like, that's the prime example.
Everybody knows about it. Everyone knows about it. That's not
like saying it.
No, but it's 100% true. It does set this precedent for it being like, and the other thing as well is just like, it's not a difficult concept to understand that some things are okay to say in certain company. Like I might be okay sitting around with my mates in the garden of the Hoppy place in Windsor, having a couple of jokes with each other and being a bit rude to each other because we're friends and it's established that we can make digs at each other because that's what we do. Yeah. If I was just to go to a different pub and sit down in the garden and start chatting to some strangers and say things of a similar vein, it's quite likely that they would really not take well to it. And I wouldn't take well to someone, just a total stranger making digs at me, because I'd be like, what the hell are you doing? You don't know me. Why are you doing this?
In your audience.
Exactly. It's precisely that. And it's like these people who go, how can I hate women? My mum's one. Like,
I've got sisters. That's like saying I'm not racist, I've got a black friend.
Yeah, I've got a black friend.
Exactly.
It's not a difficult concept that, that not every audience is going to be exactly the same. And especially with things that are as genuine and still such a hugely pervasive issue in modern British society as issues like racism and sexism and transphobia and homophobia, when these issues that are so very real, instead of whinging about people ruining your fun, just consider the fact that you're genuinely impacting on other people's very real day-to-day lives. Yeah. I don't mind stopping the fun of 3 rowdy idiots at the bar who are making nasty jokes if it means that a whole demographic of people feel safer to have fun. You know what I mean?
And at the end of the day, you're going to get like Yelp reviews from the 3 guys that were like, I was making sexist jokes.
Bad review from someone who is telling it. If I get a bad review if we at the brewery, I mean, I'm sure they will agree with me on this because I know that we all have this very inclusive attitude. We get a review at the brewery saying, oh, they told me to stop making homophobic jokes at the bar. Then I would say,
someone having the balls. Like, how dare they tell me that I can make homophobic jokes?
That's not the kind of establishment this is. That's not the kind of place we want to be. That is a dark part of pub culture that we want to very much leave behind.
But it's like you might get like, okay, a bad review from the people you told off who are obviously biased about the situation. But I know that if I was the person that was sitting next to them, and I might not have thought as like a non-Yelp user or anything like that, I don't really rate that quote, like I don't use those that much. I might be sitting there and going like, oh, I'm having a really good time, but I'd never think to go home and be like, yeah, really good review. But if I'm sitting there and someone makes me feel uncomfortable and you walk up and go like, no, that's not what we do here, I'm going to be like, oh my God, yes, absolutely, yes. I cannot wait to go and preach about how amazing this is and tell all my friends that actually this is, I think you end up getting more people on board by
you get more
horrible people off.
It is just a very nasty vocal minority. Well, okay, I don't know how much of a vocal minority of people it is, because unfortunately a lot of people of late have been showing their asses being unpleasant. But for lack of a more eloquent term. But I think that the vast majority of people feel more comfortable to be safe, to know that, wow, this shit's not going to be tolerated. That at the moment, they're making fun of the person sitting on table 2, but the second they start turning to table 3, table 4, and they get to me, like, I'm not here just behind. I'm not being protected here just because the fact that I'm sat slightly further away. I don't feel safe sat in a place where someone is just free to talk, to talk in a horrible discriminatory way. I mean, I've left a pub and I've emailed them previously because of issues like this, because I think I distinctly remember a delivery driver coming in once to drop something off at a pub, and one of the customers just started hurling like nasty comments their way, and there was a delivery driver and none of the staff even said anything, and I was just sitting there at the end of the bar with my pint just gobsmacked. Like, I can't believe you're letting someone speak to another person on your turf in this way. It's just so cruel, and I definitely don't feel comfortable here now.
No, because it's kind of like when you go out with your friends and somebody that says something that's a bit off color, and you're just like, oh, you really shouldn't say that sort of thing, and you tell your friend off, like, it's because they're an extension of you, and it's like, for me, I always panic, like, oh my God, I don't want to be associated with that comment. I don't want people to think that that's how I feel, so I'd rather tell them off and make it known that I'm telling them off. So it's like, distance myself completely. You'd think that as a business you would be like, I want to make sure you know this is not what my values are. This is so far removed from what I want. But then I guess for some people, some businesses, obviously not Phantom, but other businesses, you might have people that are like, well, money's money, especially when times are tough. Money's money. So, you know, they're a regular customer. I can't exactly tell them off. So I think that's really great that like you feel you're part of a company that's not afraid to stand up and be like, yeah, no, we don't do that here. I mean, the fact that you've got like tampons in your bathroom, it's like, I feel like most places you walk in,
it's like, it's
do you have a tampon
thing, but it's
dirty
amazing.
It's such a basic thing, and it shouldn't be so rare to come by. I know for a fact the Nag's Head in Reading do as well. I know this for a true fact. But it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be such a rarity, but it's such a nice. And also the other thing as well is the fact that like all of our toilets are unisex, and all of them are cubicles, so all of them can be used by literally anyone. And brilliant. It's like that, and I think that's something that loads of places don't do, even though they
everybody
have the ability
should
to do it. And
I don't get it.
Like, I don't get it. I don't get the problem with toilets. Like,
I've definitely gone to a men's toilet before because I was like, I'm not saying it like I can tell you, turtle. I've definitely gone in the purple turtle in Reading, and I've gone like, this queue for the ladies' room is actually ridiculous. I've walked in the men's room. There was definitely men peeing at the cubicle. Yeah, and I was like, I don't care. Like, I'm going in the store. I'm not waiting for a pee.
If you've been to the
but there's no shame in total.
There is no shame. I was going to say the Black Heart in Camden, who recently just hit their benchmark for crowdfunding to be able to reopen, and I'm over the moon.
Did they actually hit it? Yay!
They hit it. I'm so happy because I absolutely love that place. It was the last gig I went to before lockdown, just over a year ago. So I have, I have a lot of love for that place, and I would have been absolutely gutted if I couldn't have gone back, if they couldn't have opened up again. But they are quite known for their toilets. They have a unique vibe, and they said themselves, if you've ever been to the toilets at the Black Heart, don't need to worry about what's in the vaccine. You're fine.
Sounds a lot like turtle, to be fair. Or at least old turtle, not new turtle.
What's that smell? Ambiance.
Oh, the public toilet. Yeah, no, that's brilliant. But yeah, no, I tried this on. I was like, I just need to know how it looks real quick, and I noticed actually that it was unisex toilets, and I was like, yeah, well done. But I kind of find that I found it when I went to Daya's tap room. I found it when I went to every time I go to Siren's tap room. Like, it seems to
I've
be.
never been to the Siren tap room.
I can't even. I went in to pick up my order today, and I was wearing this, and they were like, Phantom, that's in Reading, isn't it? I was like, yeah, 10-minute walk from the train station. When it opens back up, it's a huge space. Get down there. They were like, yeah, definitely.
Oh, awesome.
I went into Siren wearing somebody else's. I felt like I was cheating on them. I had the mask on though. I was like, I'm wearing your mask, so just,
I literally I had a chap come in today to fill up his growler, and he was with a little kid with him. I would guess probably like 4 or 5 years old, right? And this kid, after I filled up the growler, charged him, and I was like, right, have a lovely weekend, mate, And he goes, yeah, we will. And then the kid just goes, Daddy's going to go get some more beer now. He was like, yes, we are. He's going to the other place to get more beer. And I was just laughing, and the dad was like, yeah, we get one here and we get one from Double Barreled. He's going to the other place to get more beer. And he was like, they don't mind. They're all friends. Everyone, they all know each other. They're all friends.
It's not a competition. There's room for
everybody. I fully felt like he'd just like outed his mistress or something.
Right.
I was like, oh my
God. Going to the other beer place.
Well, that's it. That kid felt like he was like telling this big secret.
Big secret.
Meanwhile, the dad felt like he had to defend it.
I thought was incredibly sweet. I thought that was incredibly sweet.
That is adorable.
Brilliant.
But yeah, before we keep this conversation, because I want to crack another beer, so I'm gonna crack upstairs, downstairs. This is your new Session Pills, isn't it? I like the Escher artwork on it. So
about
it.
I want David Bowie on here. Where is he?
That's a good point, actually. But the thing is, this isn't a Labyrinth reference as much as I wish it was.
No, it's not.
It's an Office reference, because who doesn't love the Office? I think I quoted it basically word for word in the Instagram caption when I posted about this beer. It's David Brent's new game show, and that's what the beer's named after. But so yeah, upstairs, downstairs. This was canned. I want to say 2 weeks ago now. So yeah, it's pretty new. 100% Sarts hops, 4.1%. Sarts added at I think 3 different points before the boil, and then on the whirlpool afterwards as well. So you get, it's relatively low bitterness. It's just a lovely floral, herby, a little bit of hay, and just a little bit of citrus on the finish. Nice and crisp, nice and clean, and very, very easy to knock back. Only 4.1%. So
yeah,
it's
very
so easy to drink.
very easy to drink, and it's just so funny, like the amount of times that, like between Joe and myself, always like, I don't like lager, I don't like pilsners, don't like it. I was like, oh, smells like a typical pilsner. Oh, what's this going to taste like?
Oh, so you guys did a lager tasting last night, didn't you?
Yeah.
Although I thought like, can I make an amendment to the post that I had? I thought that all the ones that I had, with the exception of one, were actually Polish. They were not. I was corrected. 2 of them were Lithuanian.
Oh,
and I said, I'm really sorry. I
interesting.
couldn't read the label. I didn't know.
She was trying to tell us what ABV they were. She's like, I don't know. I can't understand any of it.
I can't find it. I was like, there's no numbers. I was like, there's one here that says 12, but I'm fairly certain this is not 12%. I was like, I can't read
Amazing
it.
work.
I tried Google Translate. I was like, I can't find any of it. It's all
that is so good. That's
dangerous.
Only one was Polish, 2 were Lithuanian. So, well, yeah.
Well, so I mean, we love.
This is
Thank you. I mean, we love lager. Like we really, really do. Dane has said before that whilst obviously Phantom, most of what we make is some form of an IPA or a pale ale, or certainly was for most of 2020. His favorite thing all the time is a Czech Pilsner. Like he absolutely loves them. Yeah.
Well, I've said I don't like lager. And then it was just like, and then I read A Brief History of Lager, and it was just like,
oh, nice.
Vienna lager is a lager. Dunkel is a lager. It's like, oh yeah, like when you hear lager, you think of that fizzy, tasteless stuff that you're drinking when you're at uni.
You think macro.
You think macro.
Oh,
absolutely do.
So,
and that's not what it is. Like it's this, and like Czech Pilsner, because it's just got that lovely malty body.
That was the tasting we did last night. Was Czech Pilsner, but I couldn't get Czech one, so I only got Bud.
I'm going to throw them all in. I was like, we are doing a lager, and we're doing Czech. Doing Czech Pilsner. Here we go.
I think everyone has like a lager epiphany at some point. I think, and mine I think came like towards the end of summer last year. Like because when I was 18, I was drinking like just like Camden Hells because it was in my local pub. And it said craft lager on it, and I was like, yeah, I'm drinking something craft. Yeah, I'm so cool.
Yeah,
like I was 18, man. Like it's fine, but like. So that was me then. And then when I started to get more into, when I actually got into craft beer, it was always very much with a focus on IPAs and pales because that was what was big. And then I hit my stouts and my sours, and for a long time. And I think this is true of a lot of avid craft beer drinkers. You kind of reject lager because you're like, no, that's the bad stuff. That's the but proper lager is just, and as you said, Joanne, it's just so much more versatility and variety than so many people would have you believe. Like something like Utopian's Vienna Lager is an absolute godsend of a beer. It's absolutely
on Vienna Lager. That's what got me into beer, was a Vienna Lager.
Good. Right. So good.
Right.
I mean,
I'm brewing one downstairs right now.
I'm coming to Kent.
Yes.
I feel like we need like on this podcast, like we need some type of like bell dinging for like every time we're like, I don't like lagers normally, but this one's like this one.
No, we don't say I don't like lager anymore. We are being more specific and saying exactly what we don't. Exactly the ones we don't like.
It's because we started off going, I don't normally like lager, but like I really like this, and then it would be
phrase
like
is banned.
It would just keep progressing. I went to the Hive, who's like walking distance from me, and I went.
We like the Hive.
Yeah, you guys are on tap at the Hive.
Yeah,
This is on tap. And I was speaking to the owners, and we were talking about we got into talking about lagers and stuff, and I was saying like, yeah, I used to always say that I didn't like lagers, but that's so stupid, I really do. And then I was telling them like the black lager from Braybrook, I was like,
oh my god,
it was so Moorish,
right.
It was incredible. I was like, get on those black lagers, like if you've not had one, have it. It is so good. But
I honestly, and so my other half is slightly behind on his lager epiphany, because when I took him to, he complete blankets. I'm doing my best. I'm giving him many hangovers. He's not happy with me. But I remember when we had Oktoberfest at Phantom, which was a phenomenal like event to work and then to drink at. It was so much fun.
Did you stand on tables? I need to know.
No, we had to. It was table service and social distancing, Tori. We were being responsible.
Can't stand on tables when it's table service.
You stand on your own table.
If you're at mask and you're 2 meters apart.
Yeah, there we go. But it was tremendous fun. That was a really, really good event. We had all of the second unit was the Oktoberfest room, and it was all in. You pay for your ticket, you get a stein, which you get to take home with you, and you get unlimited lager. And we had our new Marzen on tap, which
my god, how did I miss
so good, so good.
I love
I was so proud of that beer. I say that as if I had anything to do with brewing it. I just drink a lot of it.
Like we did so good. We all together.
You
were there. You were there. You were offering moral support. You were just as much as part of that. You probably gave it positive vibes.
Well, there you go. See,
if you canned it wrong, would have changed everything.
Exactly. Except we had it on keg at the festival, so I'd literally
you could have served it wrong.
Nobody needs to know. But so we had that. We had the Vienna Utopian lager on. We had a Braybrook rustic lager on. I think we had Rothaus Pils, and there was one more, and I can't for the life of me remember what it was. But all in all, a really, really good lager selection, right? And I remember I bought my other half to that, and he was like, "Oh, they're all really nice. Just, you know me, I'm not really that much of a lager fan." He had every single one of them, and he was sitting there going, "God, this is really. I don't like lager, but this is really good." And I'm like, "Listen to yourself.
Listen to what you're saying."
You could be our next podcast guest, where we'll do all lagers exclusively. No, all three of us.
Right. So what we need to do
is
good. We need to get all three of our other halves on, because both of ours just go, "Yeah, that tastes like beer." Literally.
To be fair to Rick, when you saw him, Charlotte, when we were at Hoppy Place, like he was driving, so he couldn't really drink. He was just having tasters. He likes beer, but then for him, I'm like, what does that taste like? He's like, it's just like beer. Like, do you taste the difference between these IPAs? And he's just like,
tastes like beer.
Yeah, it's hoppy.
So I got Gordon to try the green the green white hag shamrock shake one, and I was like, right, I was like, how are you on mint? And he was like, I don't mind mint. I was like, right, picked up this green beer and went, right, taste that. And he drank it, and I just looked at him and he was like, yeah, that one doesn't taste like beer. I was like, thank goodness, I thought you were just gonna go taste like beer, like you always do.
You've had a breakthrough.
That's it. That's the epiphany. But he's a beer sommelier. People can be like, "What was the changing moment for you?" You'd be like, "Well, it was this green shit that Joanne made." I'm sure it wasn't shit. I haven't tried it. I like white hag beers. By and large,
didn't like it. I didn't mind. See, I didn't mind.
I didn't hate it. I didn't hate it, but it was
definitely novelty.
I like mint. So it's
you like
from a mint hater. It was just I couldn't explain it. It was weird.
I usually, if I've had mint before in a beer, I've had mint in sours, and I've had like Claydons, and I've had mint in stouts, a peppermint stout or whatever. Yeah. That beer did look a bit like Listerine to me.
I've got another can. You can have the extra can, and find out for yourself. Because I mean, it was like I didn't hate it, but it's not one that I want to.
It's definitely it's a one and done beer. I think.
I'll send you I'll give you my extra.
I'm sure that was the intention of White Hag though. They're smart.
The mochaccino. The mochaccino I had after it was like.
Their beers are good. I like their beers.
The one for me that I'm really into that Nick really likes as well is the Puka, which is the mixed berry hibiscus ginger like
So
lemon
good.
kettle sour.
Yeah.
Holy shit! And it's only
So good.
3.5%, and it's just dry, floral, fruity, zesty, so
Yeah.
good. And it's one of those that it's only in a little can as well, only in a little 330.
Yeah.
One of those in each pocket if you go for a long walk in summer, and you are sorted.
That's
So
it. So
good.
when you
That's
walk from
brilliant.
Double Barrel down
Brilliant.
to Phantom,
Precisely,
in
those are your road
pocket.
tinnies. So obviously, Joanne, I know you're not local as well, and I'm not sure what your reach is on listeners, but the Reading geography lesson for anyone who's particularly interested. Pull up Google Maps now. I'll give you a moment. Okay, right. So
I like your built-in pause break.
Yeah.
You are a pro at this.
Yeah.
I'm a woman of the people. What can I say? But so Reading Central Station is, I think it's just one stop along from Tilehurst, which is the closest station to Double Barrel Brewery. Tilehurst is a local stopping sort of station, so it's literally 2 minutes down the line from Reading. But if you miss a train to or from Tilehurst, you're going to be there for, years. It's one of those that quite often they just have really long gaps between the trains, just the nature of the beast, really. While it's only a couple of minutes on the train, it's about maybe a 40-minute walk from Double Barreled back to Phantom, because as I say, Phantom is basically right by Reading Central Station. So it is a bit of a walk. And the first time I went to Phantom was the same day as the first time I went to Double Barreled, and I remember it was the first Saturday of January 2020. So at this point, Double Barreled were, I think, just over a year old, and Phantom had really only just opened. So I was really keen to get to them, and we got on a train that got us to Tilehurst. Went Double Barreled, had a wonderful time, drank I think everything out on their tap wall, then a couple of guest things as well. So we were well oiled, I would say, sufficiently well oiled.
I like that
and then
description.
decided
I'm going to use that.
Yeah, I mean, out of context, I'm not sure how PG-13 it sounds, but anyway, no, we had our beer jackets on, right? And like I say, it's the first weekend in January, and we decided we would walk because we were like, stop getting a taxi, can't be arsed, don't have any cash on us, whatever, it's difficult, we'll just walk. Wanging it down with rain at this point, right? It's only like, I don't know, 5:30, but it's already dark because it's January, and that is how the world. I mean, let's face it, it's Berkshire. This is what it's like. The walk, I can tell you now for a fact, is so much easier when you've had a few beers. It didn't feel that long, and we got into Phantom. We were both like, we were both pretty damp at this point. We'd never been in before, but it was great. There was a shuffleboard table, nice beers on tap. I was like, I don't care how cold I am, I'll be absolutely fine. But so yeah, that's the geographical setup and the difference of the two, which is why, as Tori suggested to me yesterday when I was talking about it, pretty a good idea to have a couple of tinnies in your pocket for the walk. Just
obviously my suggestion was like, you just like, she was like, you make the walk, you just get I was like, you have tinnies in your pocket, and then she was like, no, you drink a lot first, and I was like, and then you have tinnies in your pocket. She was like, that's the level of class that I'm at. She was like, you just get sufficiently drunk at the first place, and I was like, but don't you want to keep the party going on your way to place number 2?
Yeah, I mean, the party's always good. Whenever I'm around, the party's
I was going to say the party always go with you.
The party doesn't start until I walk in.
I was like, please tell me you're going to say till I walk in.
That's it, that's the way it works. That's just how I roll.
It's going to be brilliant to take Joanne when we can go out and about again, and I'm going to be like, you're coming to Reading, we're going out, doing the call. I mean,
Reading's like, we're so blessed in Berkshire. We have a really, really good beer scene. I mean, obviously there's Phantom, there's Double Barreled, we've got Elusive, we've got Siren, we've got
Wild Weather.
We've got Wild Weather, we have got Dolphin. There are so many fantastic little places that are based in Berkshire, as well as obviously, you've got so many great pubs, bars, bottle shops and stuff like that. Like obviously in Windsor, the Hoppy Place, my local, very, very, very close to my heart. Recent winners of the SEBA Beer Retailer of the Year award.
Congratulations to them for
very,
that.
Very happy for them. And then obviously in Reading, you've got the Nag's Head, which is one of the most fantastic pubs that is local to me. You've got the Grumpy Goat, who, I mean, it's beer and cheese, which are my 2 favourite nouns in the whole world. And they are, I believe, planning on opening up a bar at some point this year. Not like they're not rushing it, as far as I'm aware. It's not one of those things where they're just going to turn it around for as soon as possible. I think they really want to take their time to make this great bar, which I'm so excited about, because I mean, their beer and spirits and wine and cheese selection that they curate there is just so good. It's so on point. And the idea of being able to nip in and have a nice little bottle of something Belgian and a couple of little slabs of cheese. I mean,
that sounds
it's a godsend.
yeah.
And I'm so blessed to have something like that so close to me. Like, it's like in Berkshire, we are so blessed. We've got so many great people in beer around us. It's wonderful. It's really wonderful.
I think even on the more accessible level as well, like if you're going out with friends who may be a bit more intimidated by some of the craft offerings they like, I mean, you've got 0 degrees as well, so you can kind of like compromise, and you can be like, yeah, go into 0 degrees. And like, I've had some like really nice wheat beers from 0 degrees that they've made there as well. And
I knew I would miss some off the list, and now I feel really bad.
But to be fair, I think that's the kind that you don't think about, because it's a brewery, but it's not a brewery, if you know what I mean. Like, it's not the place that you look at and be like, oh yeah, like that's the same place I'd associate with the likes of like Phantom in Wild Weather and like those places.
A warehouse. yeah.
It's not that traditional like crafty like feel to it.
Everything is stainless steel or tiles.
Yeah, so you've got that, and then you've also got oh my god, it drives my electrician friend up the wall. Like going into Seven Bone, he's like, this place is not finished. There's a code 27 over there, and we're like, that's the feel. He's like, well, I just don't get it. If you just put a little bit more money into it, you just finish it. I was like, I like it.
On this, I remember a really interesting discussion. I can't remember who started it. It was someone quite prominent on beer Twitter. I think, let's say for the sake of argument, it might have been Melissa Cole. I don't know. It might have been Melissa Cole, but it was just started off like a tweet just saying this whole thing about, like, you know, the industrial look of a lot of breweries, particularly the smaller ones in London that are on small industrial sites. A lot of the time it can actually lead to the place just being like less accessible and less comfortable, because it can sometimes just be an easy way out. Again, I'm not 100% certain of who it was who said this, but it did spark a really interesting discussion about the fact that quite often it just means that you know, it can just be like, oh, well, we're industrial, we're just this, and it is sometimes it is literally just an excuse for being.
We don't need to repaint. We don't need to replaster. It's fine. It's all the industrial look. It's a building ground.
coming slightly back to the toilet discussion we had earlier, I literally remember going to a craft bar in London, which I will not name, where the toilet cubicles, I'm not joking, they had saloon doors.
Yeah, because that's what you do for a toilet.
I've definitely been to some of those. Yeah,
saloon doors. Now, saloon doors, you know, they generally tend to start about it. Now, as someone who, without going into too much detail, sits down to use the bathroom.
Yep.
Not exactly practical when you sit down and the doors end at about your belly button.
Yeah.
Not practical.
No.
Really not good.
I was just waved to everyone walking by. Like,
Oh no. My torso and my head were blocked off. It was everything from the waist down that was excited, which is it was not a,
maybe that's the vibe they were going for.
I did not think it was that sort of establishment. It was like 3:00 on a Sunday afternoon. I was not ready for that when I walked in, but it's needless to say we moved down the road. But I do think that sometimes there is there are some places, maybe some of the newer ones that start up, that are like, well, this is what looks cool because this is what people do. They go for the industrial look, and then they literally just don't do anything, and it can make the place literally inaccessible for people to use. Like, if you don't have proper, you know, wheelchair ramps, if you don't have, you know, suitable sturdy seating, if you don't have somewhere that, you know, is comfortable, an environment to drink in, it can be a bit of a nightmare. But I'm happy to say that all of our beloved establishments in Berkshire are very good at that.
Yeah, I was going to say, even like, so I know, like, people's feelings of Brewdog aside, like even the Brewdog there's like there's a ramp access there, and then regardless of how you feel about Brewdog beers, they've got like a really good guest selection, because I remember like one of the first Wild Weathers that I had was at a Brewdog. I think I might have had one before that, but like one of their more adventurous ones that I was like, what is this? This is interesting. I grabbed that and I was like, oh, they do. The one in Reading does tend to have like quite a lot of more like local-ish breweries as well, which is really good.
As I think one should. a bar. Generally, it's nice to have a local selection on.
Yeah, definitely.
But they could easily go, I'm just going to go with the bigger names of what we normally deal with. And the fact that they've gone with like, oh yeah, you've got like the wild weathers and stuff like that. It's just quite interesting. But to bring it back to Phantom, your establishment though. So obviously, because I was there, we said at the beginning, I was there and I got to take sort of a look inside, and as we said, it's quite big. It's so open. And as you said, you can play around with the space, because what you've done, which I think is really, really smart of you guys, is you've sort of created a little nook. Like building inside a building area, basically. It is a little nook. It's like you've got this big, like, picture it for anyone listening, and Joe, you've got this like big open warehouse, and then you've got this little room that's open. There's no doors on it or anything, just like a black box of a big open room that's got like some really nice, like the ceiling's nice. There's nice lighting in it. There's a nice tiled bar. It's very nice looking, and
nice framed backlit bar stuff. It's very pretty.
Yeah. If you were to look at it, you'd be like, that's like, you can see how that's a totally separate space as well. Like you can tell that there's like that's the cozy little nook room, but then you also have all this other space to play around with, and it's not uncomfortable, and you're like drinking, with all the like brewery gear around in the background as well, and it's quite a nice vibe. And yeah, I think it does that where it's well thought out. It's not just like, cool, we've done an industrial, exposed everything, so there you go, we've saved money on renovations. Like they really took the time to set up a space within a space as well. And it's just really, really cool, because when I sort of turned the corner and I was like, oh, you're like, you've not been to the Hon before, have you? It was like, no. And I was like, oh, that's the room.
Literally, your face was wonderful. It made me so happy to just look. But, so I mean, I like, honestly, like I'm a sucker for nice bar design. It makes me happy. I spend a lot of my time in bars, just because it's my job. Obviously, not for any recreational purposes.
You would never. I get it.
No.
Never. No. I'm well behaved, and I resent the implication that I'm not. But I'm a sucker for good bar design. I mean, I think the double-barreled bar design is fantastic as well. They've got these, because I went in winter. It's the one time I've been, because I literally just, ever since they reopened, I've been busy working 40 minutes walk away down at Phantom. Yeah. So I've just literally not had the chance at the moment. But I'm hoping to be able to free up some more time to go over there when things do open again. But they've got we've got some heating in the tap room, which we didn't install until fairly recently, unfortunately. But I remember being impressed by even the way they heated the open space, because let's face it, it's a warehouse. It's going to get bloody cold and drafty in there. Like, it's an industrial warehouse. It's how these things work. So it being winter, most people who go to breweries quite frequently know to wear an extra layer. But the way that they've set it out in double barrel, they had like the hanging heaters that were about, like a high ceiling away from you. So you barely noticed that you were sat in a warehouse. It was like a really cozy, and I thought that was like ingenious. I was so happy about, like, that's a really creative way to do things. And I like creative uses of space. I like, people making the most of what they're given. And as I say, we're really blessed that at Phantom we do have so much space. Meant that when we could reopen on the many, many full starts and rule changes there have been, because we've got so much space, it's quite easy for us to distance effectively, to be able to put out really big pathways basically between every single table, so that it's easy for staff to get through and to serve people effectively and safely and efficiently, and also for customers to be, quite comfortable in knowing that, like, right, okay, I'm not cramped in here. So we're very blessed in that sense. So yeah, that's something that I'm very grateful for, and I absolutely can't wait to be able to open again. It's very nice to be able to have people coming in for takeaways, because it's great to you see familiar faces, obviously. Yeah. And that's really, really nice, because you get to talk to people about the beers. People tell you what they thought about what they got last week, and they want to get more of it now. And I love that. It makes me so happy. And it's great, but it's such a different feeling from putting a pint down in front of somebody. I can't wait to do that, to be able to just give someone a pint and be like, all right, there you go, it's on your tab. And like that is just it's an entirely different game. And I can't wait to do it.
Yeah, we were saying you've got like you've got sort of two units next to each other as well. So you've got like even more space, and it's the room within the room, which is the haunt. It's very like clean, sleek, modern, and it just looks really nice. And then you've got this whole other two huge warehousey spaces full. And when we were saying like basically what you said when I was there the other day, it was very much like there are some tap rooms that you'd be like, well, in order for us to socially distance, we could have like 3 tables in, and then it becomes like, is it worthwhile to open up my tap room again to only be able to have like 3 people in, and how does it work? Whereas like you guys will have so much room.
And obviously that's not the fault of anybody who bought a smaller space, because let's face it, who the hell thought?
No one thought that.
Who the hell thought?
Sit people 2 meters apart at some point in the future.
No one thought in January.
No
one thought in January when it was like last year's January when it was happening in other countries, that we were like, yeah, we're all going to be like that as well. Everyone was like, I'm sure it'll be fine. It'll work.
Good old British exceptionalism saves the day once again.
I guess we were saying it's gonna, obviously you'll be able to do that soon, assuming they don't pull the rug out from under us again. Fingers crossed, touch wood, everything else. Any advice that you've got for people that are going back to the pub, e.g. something as simple as like, just don't be a D, just be nice. Just be kind to wait staff. Like what kind
generally in life?
That's such a major thing, is just to be nice. Be prepared that things might take a bit longer. I think the vast majority of people that I've served, that I've communicated with, have been really, really understanding. I think that goes such a long way, because it can be really stressful on our side as the staff, to be adapting to new systems constantly. And no matter how much you practice, no matter how much you get used to things are going to take a little bit longer. And even things like, running orders back to the bar, especially when everyone's just come in all at once for their booking, you've only got so many taps on the bar. There's only so quickly you can get all those first.
When everyone wants feeling this.
It's one of those things. I think obviously everyone is on the ball, and they should be. And I think that, I think that it's great that, there are such high standards these days for most places in the craft beer industry for the staff to be really good at their job and to be really passionate about it and to want to give the good experience. But at the same time, you can't help that there will be delays, especially when you're adapting to so many new systems. And, you might only have a few card readers. So when you want to pay your bill and someone else is using the card reader, don't be sitting there rolling your eyes and, drumming your fingers on the table, glaring at the wait staff, because they can't yell at the other customer to put their pin in any quicker. Like little things like that. Just a little bit of understanding goes such a long way, and it makes the job so much easier. Because honestly, I maybe I'm just speaking for myself here, but I think a lot of people in the industry feel the same way. It's mortifying when things go wrong. Yeah, so mortifying. Not just in the sense that something, people might leave, or they might not get another pint or something like that, but in the sense of, oh my god, people think I don't care. Like, people think I'm not that bothered about them having a good time. Like, and that is absolutely mortifying. You'll have to forgive me. My other half is downstairs watching the rugby, if you can hear that.
I was like, who's got, it's not my one, whose one is yelling?
I was going to say, my husband doesn't watch rugby, so it's not him. He's probably playing video games, so it could be him shouting, but I was like, no,
that's him. He is watching the rugby, and I'm very sorry about how audible that is.
Right. This is live. We're recording it live.
But that's the thing. It's absolutely mortifying for me from a working perspective to be like, oh my god, these customers think I don't give a monkeys about their night out. I don't want them to think that I'm being negligent here, or that we're being lazy. I really want these guys to have a good time. And it's absolutely mortifying to be in that position of thinking, oh my god, somebody's just come out in this time, especially in times of a pandemic. They've made the effort to come out. Yeah. They've got hand sanitizer in their bag. They've packed extra masks with them. They've been really careful and everything like that. They've ordered their substantial meal. They've made the distance to come here, and it's taken them longer than it should to get their drink. And it's really embarrassing. It's really horrible, and I hate it. It's like a heart-sinking feeling for me. And when even just a customer going, that's fine, don't worry, or just like, don't worry about it, like, I get it, something as simple as that can really, really put you at ease and be like, right, thank you so much for understanding. So I think that would be a major thing, is just have a little bit of care for the people who work in the establishments that you're going to. Understand that they're just doing their job, and understand that there might be delays, and also have a bit of care for the other customers. I mean, that goes without saying anyway, all this talk about inclusivity we had earlier, but also on a practical sense, on a COVID sense, even when things theoretically open back up without restrictions again, some people might be a bit less comfortable with you being within 2 meters than others. Some people might be absolutely fine to stand at the bar next to you. Some people might still be a little bit like, I want to keep my distance. Like, I want to, I want to. That's not them trying to be rude or make a slight to you. That's might just be them being still a little bit unsure, which is perfectly understandable, because this last year has thrown up so much in the air for so many people. It's had such a huge effect on people's security and their health and their mental health and their physical well-being. So have a little bit of understanding as well that some people aren't going to be as ready as you. So if somebody moves to step a little bit further away from you when you stand next to them at the bar, don't be going tutting and being, whatever at them, because people need space, people need time. This is basic. I will say, as melodramatic as it might sound, but I'm sure you guys understand what I mean here. I genuinely think that everyone is kind of in a collective state of like grief at the moment.
Yeah.
Like, because we've all lost,
whether people acknowledge it or not, like whether they've really processed it fully, or feel like they are impacted by it. Like, everybody is on some level. We've some people have lost their loved ones, some people have lost livelihoods, some people have had their whole world thrown upside down, and everyone has basically lost a year of their lives. Like no matter how many like good things I can look back on and be like, thank God there were some bright spots, I had some good times, I had some good laughs, I'm still, going to look back and be like, oh my God, that was an absolute mess, wasn't it? Like, there were bright spots, but Jesus, was it a hard time? So I think everyone at the moment is in this kind of state of like emotional upheaval, like you say, whether or not they're completely aware of it. So I think that just a little bit of extra consideration. You know how everyone's a little bit nicer on like Christmas Eve at the pub? Yeah, but be like that
imagine
all year
it's
round the time.
Yeah.
Imagine be like that all the time.
Yeah, and especially now in such a difficult time, imagine it's Christmas Eve, just be that little bit nicer to the people around you. You don't need to be throwing out the red carpet for them. You don't need to be being like coddling towards people, but just that little bit of second thought before you go to being umpy or judgmental, dismissive towards someone. Take a little second to just be a little bit more considerate.
You don't know their situation either. Like, you don't know if there's somebody that has, even if they've been vaccinated or anything else, like, you don't know if they're a person that is, health wise, maybe they still need to be careful, like, or it might be somebody that previously has had to be extra careful for someone that they're caring for, and that's why they're a bit more like, you just don't know somebody's story. I mean, in general, even before this, you don't know.
That's a good rule anyway.
So it should just be like, this is hitting the point home that you don't understand somebody's story. But it's funny that you say that. It's like, somebody just saying like, don't worry about it makes you feel so much better, because it's shocking to me you have to say that. So I remember going to Ascot Brewing, because that's in Camberley, that's just sort of down the road from where I am. We went there for a comedy night, because I love stand-up comedy. They had a stand-up comedy night. It was still during like kind of when we could open stuff for COVID, and it was all screens up, social distance, pre-arranged seating, all that. And they only had, it was really cool. It was a really good night.
That sounds like a nice setup.
It was a really good laugh, and you got pizza, so that was also really great.
we know how to win Tory over.
Just give me pizza.
Pizza and beer.
Yeah. So I remember being there, and they only had so many card readers, like you said, and it was like and it was also the fact of like, you couldn't get a drink when the acts were on, and we came in as somebody was on, so we were like sitting there, and I was like, oh, I really want a drink, like, so like, I'm here now, I really want a drink. And I was just like, but at the end of the day, like, that's the rules, like, you just got to deal with it. And then when it came time to pay and somebody else had a card reader, they were like, I'm really sorry, I'm gonna have to come back with a bit. I was just like, yeah, it's fine. Like, and I don't think that I would never think that me just being a reasonable individual going, it's not your fault, it's fine, like, it's gonna make somebody feel good, because I'm like, I'm just being like normal,
just being human.
Just normal.
Also, I think that going back to before, I don't even know necessarily people are being malicious if they're being a little bit more rushed or a little bit more clipped about things, because maybe they've got a dinner booking they need to get out for, maybe they've just got to get home
either.
Whatever. Maybe they're not having a fantastic, they've just been told, oh god, I need to go, I've been called into work early tomorrow, I've got to leave, I've got to get back now.
Again, you don't know their story as well, do you?
Exactly. So maybe they're not thinking they're being rude, maybe they're just going, yeah, okay, fine, I'll wait, and they're a little bit like stressed,
on edge.
It's and I don't think that's always just someone being a Karen or whatever. It's I don't think it's usually that, but I think that just everyone having a little bit more mutual empathy, I think, and just a little bit extra for luck, basically, because I think that we all at the moment could do with building up a little bit more, because at the moment I think we've all got a bit of a bit of a deficit of good things because of how much of a mess things have been. So I think it needs to be topped up, and just a little bit of extra empathy, just going a little bit extra by maybe just saying an extra nice thing when you don't think necessarily you even need to. I feel like it can honestly, it can be so much of a relief, because when everything's going wrong, when it's really busy at the pub and 6 keg lines have just gone, one of the card readers has run out of battery and the charger's not working, and everything's, oh my god, and someone's just broken a glass and you can't find the spot sweep because someone put it somewhere else earlier on in the day. All these things, sometimes they will happen at once, and it's not a dreadful thing that it's not the world's not exploding, everything's
you can
fine.
feel like it in that moment, can't you?
Within 5 minutes everything will be fine. You'll have changed over the lines, you will have got the card reader working, and you will have swept up a broken glass, and it'll be fine. But in that moment it can genuinely feel like, oh my goodness gracious me, we look like a bunch of headless chickens. This is mortifying. This is not how I want things to go. So it can be really reassuring just to have someone go, oh, it's all right, take your time.
It's just so funny that you even say that, because it's just like
thank God.
Like I say it and don't even, I'm just like, yeah, that's like common sense says it's fine. Like I'm not gonna, but it's just it's nice to hear you say that, even though I'm not realizing that could make somebody's day infinitely better from where it is, like that even something as small as that could just make somebody feel like, cool, I can breathe again. Anything I can do to help.
So it happens to literally everyone in any kind of service industry. You end up in the weeds at some point, just because you get an unexpected rush of people, or some like I say, loads of things run out at once. It's just one of those things that can't be avoided, but it can sometimes, one off comment when that happens can really set you off on a little bit of a spiral. And so I think that we all want to avoid, we don't want to, everyone's been spiraling constantly for the last 13 months, and I think we could all avoid having that continued. So that would be nice. Genuinely,
treat every day like it's Christmas.
Treat every day like it's Christmas at the pub. Everyone's just happy. In a really happy mood. Nobody's upset.
Oh, I think that's a good place to leave it on the pub stuff. Should we have the last beer and we can play our little game with you?
I'm bricking it.
You'll be fine.
You're gonna. Oh God, I really hope. Oh, by the way, I feel like I should probably talk about this beer.
Can we? Because
this is
amazing.
Yay!
Has it got lemongrass in it, or is it just the lemon zest?
Just lemon zest.
Oh my God, it smells like lemongrass.
It's the right balance of like the zesty like tartness, but also not being like so, like I feel like as a person that enjoys sours, it's perfect for me, but I could also give this to somebody that's newer into sours, that's not quite sure. But it's not like, normally when I say, oh, it's great for an entry level person into sours, it's usually something that's like not so sour, like it's usually more fruity. This I feel like actually has the sour, like it is sour, but it's not so overwhelming in comparison to the taste that somebody that's new in would be like, yeah, that's not for me. I get a bit of like woodiness in it. Is it just me?
There's a bit of herbal.
Really nice.
This is it's really straightforward. It's
called Spring, by the way. I should say.
Just called Spring. Yes, Spring. Freshly canned Thursday afternoon.
Coming out this week, isn't it?
Yeah. So basically, it was available taproom release this weekend. So just for local collections and stuff. And it's going to be on general release this week coming, but it is available for pre-order as part of our as part of our Phantom and Friends box. So it's a series that we've been doing, for anybody who doesn't know. It's a series that we've been doing where we just team up with another business that we like. So obviously this week just gone was we teamed up with Rolling Dough in Windsor and Cross Stream Distillery in Marlow. So it was a pizza, gin and beer box, like a DIY pizza kit, some nice gins and some Phantom beers. So they're just basically little things for people to enjoy from home that we've really enjoyed. So we've teamed up with some different breweries and stuff. This week coming, we are teaming up with This Week in Craft Beer, who is a rival beer podcast.
We don't have rivals. There's space for everybody.
There's space for everyone.
Damn, I was really hoping for a bit.
Are you trying to get the rivalry?
Nah, we don't do that.
Absolutely not. No. So we're working with Rob from This Week in Craft Beer, and he's put together some breweries that he likes. So they're going in the box. And Spring is also available for pre-order and that, as well as pre-order the rebrew of Junk Food, which was a favourite of ours from very early Phantom days. Actually, I think it might have been a year ago now, or just over a year ago that was brewed. Nice, roughly 7%, nice big juicy IPA, got quite a bit of heft.
Yeah, that's for me.
Yeah, nice big tropical bomb, and that's available for pre-order in those boxes as well. So that's what's going on. But so Spring, this beer, it's fairly straightforward. It's a load of strawberry, a load of fresh lemon zest, and a little bit of vanilla, just a little touch of vanilla. So no lactose or nothing. The mouthfeel is basically all just from the fact it's got an absolute,
which is surprising because it is quite like mouthfeel wise. It's not thin at all. It's a nice creamy full. I think that's the combination of the fact that it's got a really good amount of strawberry in it. I don't think it becomes cloying or like, clumpy.
No, not at all.
It's a really nice amount of strawberry. That little touch of vanilla almost makes it feel like it's got lactose in it. I've been referring to it as basically a strawberry and lemon cheesecake sour, because to me that's kind of what it reminds me of.
I can see that. Yeah.
Because I get that lovely big sweet fresh strawberry hit, and as it warms up especially, I get more of the lemon coming through, like that real zestiness. And the malt bill on this, the way it's put together is just that when the malt comes through, I get that lovely, almost like biscuity finish, which to me I'm just like, yeah, it's a cheesecake sorted. Like that to me is how it goes. So at 6%, it's got a little bit of weight behind it, but it's not so strong that it'll knock you on your ass. So I do enjoy it.
It's very sessionable for sure. I like the label of it. It's got like birds all over it for anyone that's looking at the video.
Yeah, it's that is by Hannah Horn. So Hannah Horn, I think she's based on the South Coast. She did the artwork for the Under the Sea series, and she also does the Sauropod designs for Staggeringly Good.
I was going to say it reminds me of the Sauropod. Yeah. But her stuff is it's really beautiful. Ones.
It's all like,
it is gorgeous.
Yeah,
it's nice.
It's all a focus on like the natural world, like beautiful nature images and stuff, and also. There's a mystery QR code.
Oh, yeah, I saw that.
Ooh, yeah, I'm going to scan that. I don't want to tell anybody. I'm not going to scan it and tell people. People are going to have to...
Don't scan it now because it's on autoplay. Don't scan it now.
Okay, yeah, people are going to have to figure that out for themselves. But yeah,
you're just going to have to get the beer.
Yeah, exactly. No spoilers here. We like to spoiler things, but not that stuff. No. So yeah, hannahhorn.com. I was reading that as you were saying. It was Hannah Horn. So yeah.
Yeah, really gorgeous artwork. Usually our can art is done by a chap named Tom Guts, who I think Dom's known him for years. He's a really cool graphic artist. So that really like quintessential Phantom design that you see on beers like Bull Pit and Meal for Two and stuff like that. Like
I loved Meal for Two label. That's going in a frame and it's going on my wall because
I also loved the beer. I thought it was phenomenal.
It was really good, yeah.
And that sort of quintessential cartoony sort of pop arty design, I think it ties in really well with the fact that Dane and Dom are huge like pop punk fans, and that sort of those big bold colors. Like it kind of works together very nicely. Tom Guts, we did a Q&A with him on our website to anybody who likes their artwork and design and stuff. And there's like here. Links and everything on there. There we go.
If you're watching the video, we've got Caravan of Love. Mm-hmm. Then there's Luck. I don't have the other ones to hand to show because they're literally
because you've drunk them all.
They're on a piece of A4. So to decide, do I want to frame them, put them on the wall, or do I want to do something else? Or do I want to do another art project with them? But yeah, I love the artwork. It is very like unmistakably like Phantom as well when you come to know your beers as well.
I didn't get it so much at first. Like before I started working for Phantom, I was like, I really like the designs, and I was just like, I'm not sure how much they all sort of tie in together. And the more beers that have been released, like it's, you know, the more as the lineup grows, as we've put more in the bank, basically you can see that the links between them much easier, I think. And I think the same could be said of a lot of different artists and their work. Because I mean, if you've only got like say 2 pieces of artwork to compare off of, there'll be fewer similarities than if you've got 40, and then you could go, oh my god, I can see all these themes running through, like. So I think that's a really fun thing. And something as well is that I really enjoy sometimes get to see a little sneak peek before the art is done, or like the concept things, and I'm like, oh, this is so exciting to me. Like, you know, because it is really important. And I think that whether you choose to have a really minimalistic design, something really whimsical, or something very literal, or like a very, you know, just like a color scheme change or whatever, I think the way that you brand your beers is very important to the way that people are going to perceive them, the way that like the sort of people that might pick them up off the shelf, and the way that people are the preconceived biases, notions that you might have about your company and the style of your beer before you drink it. I think Matt Curtis wrote a thing about it like mid last year about beer branding, focusing on the way that so many of them can look quite similar.
And we talk about it all the time.
Design behind me, like that. So I can't wait to read that as well. But we could go on for days. We talk about
we talk about it all the time. About how we pick certain beers because of the label, and
we put other breweries that are amazing.
Yeah, they're amazing.
We're like, oh well, that's all right.
It doesn't tell me. Like, oh, it doesn't tell me what's in that can when I pick it up. So if I'm selecting, I'm going to go for that because that looks delicious.
It is something
that probably is, but.
Something we do try to do is make the main things is to make the style and the ABV stand out most. Because I mean, if you're the kind of person who wants to know the hop bill on a beer, you're going to turn around the can anyway.
Yeah, it doesn't
matter. But to someone who just literally goes, right, I'm off work this afternoon, I want to pick up some nice pale ales at about 5% a pop.
Yeah,
that's what you're going to be looking for first. And you know, people are usually going to have an idea of what they're looking for.
They're all
in the exact same spot. So
but
that's something that I think is quite important. And sometimes it gets overlooked, but I mean, to me it's not. So I have genuine retail fever when it comes to beer, so literally nothing will stop me from buying it if I'm like, oh,
if you really want it,
add to basket, like. So like it's I'm quite like, when it comes to indiscriminately buying an absolute ton of beers online and then realizing I have no room in the fridge for them, I am your girl. I am the one for that. So
welcome to the club.
Yeah, we like to call that the exact right amount of beer.
Yeah, you've always got. You can never have too much beer.
The exact right amount.
And you've always got the right amount of beer.
And sometimes actually maybe you need more. It depends on what you're looking at and what you want. Sometimes you need more, sometimes you have the exact right amount. So
I was really upset I didn't have a Rausch beer in my fridge the other day, so I just had to go buy more beer.
Right.
Isn't it? Yeah.
We didn't have the right amount. You needed more.
Right. Exactly. We were talking about stouts and I was like, oh, can't find a pastry stout in my fridge. How dare my fridge not have a pastry stout in it? It's full, but where is it? Why is there not one in there?
Didn't have enough.
No.
But honestly, we could separate episode for this completely because we literally have spoken about it.
Beer buying habits.
Yeah. So
retail fever is the one. Like it's quite atrocious how many times I'm coming home like got like saddlebags clinking over me.
The boxes that come in, Gordon's like, what are you buying now? You buy more beer? You're buying more beer, aren't you? I was like, yeah.
I just think, how can I sneak this in the house now?
Oh my god, my one is like the putting out the recycling. Oh my god, like you know on like New Year's Day. You kind of tiptoe downstairs, really hungover, and you're like placing like cans and bottles in the bin so your neighbours don't go, God, she had a heavy night. I was like, honestly,
everywhere. You need better neighbours because I hear my neighbours all the time like tipping out the bottle. I'm like, yes,
you had a good time.
Thank you.
Okay, are you going to quiz me now?
Yes.
Yeah. Joe, do you want to ask the first one? Oh, I've got some easy ones factored in as well, just in case.
Thanks.
Okay. Right. So the first test. Here we go. Pina Colada Sour IPA, pineapple, toasted coconut, and Sabro.
I know, miss. I know. It's palm trees and power lines.
Yay!
Well done.
Well done.
That's one. So we ask you out of 4. So, okay,
Cool.
I'll do number
Thanks.
2 out of 4. Which one do I want to do? A light and refreshing table beer designed for those lazy afternoon sessions. Expect light tropical flavors from the Citra Simcoe and Columbus hops, transporting you back to those carefree salad days of yesteryear.
Carefree salad days. I
just like that description.
Yeah, I want to say Life of Pi.
Easy as pie, but I'm going to
Easy
give
as
you that.
pie.
I'm going to give you that because
That was there. That was brewed before I was there. You can
I
give me
know.
half a point.
I
did
know. I
get
gave
right.
it. Well, I'm going to give you that one because I think that that's
Easy as pie.
you were pretty much there. So I'm going to give that to you.
Easy as pie. I can tell you the ABV on it was 3.14% as well. So
yeah, well, obviously because it's pie, you knew that one, didn't you?
Yeah. We're very.
I was
going to
say
that.
I was literally like, that's. I almost dropped an F-bomb that she was going to have to then delete out. I was going to go. That was effing impressive, and then I went, oh, pie.
Oh, pie.
Pie, yeah. We're oozing with sparkling wit. What can I say?
All right, Joe, on to you for number 3.
Right, this double dry hopped pale uses Columbus BBC, Citra and Strata to give you a big hit of tropical aroma and grapefruit zestiness.
What was the hot bill again?
Columbus BBC, Citra and Strata.
No, it's
I
not
was going
that.
to ask.
Sorry.
She's really thrown me off.
Ooh.
It's all right, because if you just get one more, you're still ahead of Matt. So you're not
Okay, as long as I'm ahead of Matt, I'll be really happy.
bragging rights for all the box shit.
Christ. I am going to say. Christ, I don't know what I'm going to say. I've never been so stressed out in my entire life. Do you know this? This is why I dropped out of university. Christ, why are you doing this to me? Get my blood pressure through the roof. It's my Saturday night.
Oh,
God.
Granny Charlotte, it's okay. You can do this.
Okay. Okay. I'm
First one that comes to your head.
I'm gonna guess, even though I know it's wrong. It's not. No. It's.
Is it not? I can give you the. We can give you the date it was released if that helps, because we gave Matt the date it was released.
Yeah.
Oh, if you give me the date, that will definitely
give you the
help.
month. How do we give you the month and year?
Yeah.
All right, it was September 2020.
I was there. How do I not remember this?
You were too busy cramming of all the other ones.
Oh my god, it's Lilo. I'm so stupid.
Yes!
It's Lilo. Yeah. Of course. I was thinking because I genuinely couldn't remember a double dry hot pale that had strata in it, and we did Lilo for Brew Republic. Yeah.
Well, you took that bit.
I took that bit out.
Yeah. So that was one of the first canning runs I ever did as well. So that was some of the first tinnies I took back in my little bag on my way back.
I like the artwork on it. So officially, you're ahead of Matt.
Well done.
But if you don't get that, I'm going to give you a difficult one because I'm not going to
Thanks,
tell you why.
that
Because it's
wasn't
going to be
hard enough.
no. Because I can't tell you why I'm picking this one, but it's going to become abundantly clear after I read it. But don't worry, no pressure, because the wild weather guys, like, I don't think any. If it was a sudden death face-off round, I think Ian and JD could take anybody.
Yeah, I
in
think
the
they'd
whole
take anybody.
country on.
Yeah.
So it's nothing personal.
I haven't listened to the wild weather one yet, but I listened to the one you guys did with Matt, and I did enjoy him going, God, I really should have known that. I was
I know you know this one because I know for a fact, like, it was part of a box that you did for like a bit, and then he was like, oh yeah, I should have known that one. It was like Constellation or something. I was like, yeah, you should have known that one. Right, are you ready for the final one? Yeah, origin story. Yeah, but it was part of like the Lumina box with the constellation, because it was obviously constellation themed, and I was like, you're gonna kick yourself when I tell you this one. I was like, I'm giving you the date and everything, and then he was like, oh, I did know that one. Are you ready for your final one?
Yeah.
Double dry hopped Yeatkenot, Amarillo, and Mandarina, Bavaria, pale, tasting notes of pithy orange, papaya, and a subtle earthy undertone.
Equinox, Mandarina, Bavaria, and what? Sorry, and Amarillo. Did you say?
Yes.
I want to say
Tasting notes are pithy orange, papaya, and subtle earthy undertones.
you should do ASMR with beer tasting notes. The way you leaned into the microphone then, it was really impressive, I have to say. Hang on, say Sabro into the
Sabro.
Oh wow, amazing. 1 million views.
That's for my
That's your
Only Cans
diagram.
page, so I mean, you're gonna have to pay for my Only Cans for that.
I am going to say for that one, I'm going to hazard a guess that it was my cat's birthday.
Yay! You've got them all
Because
right.
I know we haven't done many with Mandarina Bavaria, and I know that because we were going through that never got canned. We were going through the keg stock of that when I had just started, and it was we were doing a charity thing for the cats organization, like one of my first weekends, and I remember that.
Well, I was going to say I picked it because of the name, because I liked it when I picked mine out. I picked them either because the artwork or the name. I'm like, which one am I going to ask? And I've got some easy ones in there.
I like both.
Just in case we need to like do an easy one. I had feeling this in there, but then we drank feeling this. So I was like, I can't really ask that one because that's cheap. So it was like, well, what can I do? So I was like, this has got a fun name. It's got fun artwork on it. And I wanted to know more about it. And now you're saying was it a cat charity that you did it for, or did it just happen to coincide?
So we didn't do it for the cat charity. We brewed it. I actually don't know the story behind the name. Dane and Dom always have a really obscure
You're going to need to find out because I need to know.
Like, I will let you know. I'll text you. You can add a footnote on the
here's
what it is a show note.
By the way, we found out. But so that was brewed, I think, in August, or maybe late July. And
no, it was August. Well done.
The August, sweet, because I knew that we were coming towards the end of the kick stop of it in September, and every month, this is something I actually probably feel like I should have talked about earlier. Every month we do, when we're open in the tap room, we do the third weekend. We have a charity thing that we do. We choose a charity, and I think it's 20% of our tap room profits go to that charity. So it's sort of like putting a change pot on the bar, but without actually, because I mean, nobody carries change these days. You know, not many people actually put stuff in them anymore, like whatever. So for us, it's just we just donate a chunk of the profits, and we do a different one each month. I've got some really good ones lined up that I'm really excited to support for the first like 4 or 5 months of reopening. I've got them scheduled, lining up with some events that we want to do. So I'm really stoked about these. They're not completely set in stone yet, but I'm really excited about them. So we're going to, once we've got those finalized, they're going to be going out so we can get some support rally around them. And in September, we've just come off the back of doing the Bank Holiday Beer Festival, where we had supported the Michael Jackson Foundation, which is a charity that helps give scholarships to people of color in the brewing and distilling industry, which is really cool, because you know, it's a marginalized community, underrepresented in the drinks industry. So that was something that we were really quite happy to do, to give some funding to. One of the sessions of our one of the sessions of that festival, all the ticket proceeds went to that for one of the sessions as well, which was really cool. So in September, we were just off the back of that, and we thought, you know, kind of want to do something a little bit perhaps on a bit of a lighter side, when perhaps not going to be quite as busy as we might be. We thought something a bit fun, something a bit, you know, something basically, you know, with less with I don't know how to word this. It's a really difficult thing to word. But we want let's do something a bit lighthearted for September, you know, something. And then we decided we'd do the cats protection organization. I can't remember if that's the official title. You know, the one, cats.org. You know, the one, that one. And we thought, we can do that, and we can do a special on my cat's birthday as well. So it'd just be a nice thing, because we all
hope
like
it was
cats.
someone's actual cat's birthday, because if it's not, I'm gonna be like,
I'll
whose
find out
birthday is it?
I'll find out. Well, because
and if it is someone's actual cat's birthday, get a photo. Get a photo if it is an actual cat.
Well,
that's gonna be my next question. Is like, what does the cat look like?
But Lam, our London saleswoman, who I haven't seen in ages, because obviously she lives in London, works completely remotely, and we've spent our entire time working together in the midst of a global pandemic. So I haven't seen her in ages. She's awesome, and she regularly sends me pictures and videos of her cats, and I love them.
Really
Their
nice.
names are Orion and Spook, and they're adorable.
Nice.
Oh, and Spook, like that, Spook fits in perfectly with Phantom. You've got the Haunt, you've got
So
Spook,
cute, right?
that's- yeah, brilliant.
I would love to say that was intentional. It wasn't. I don't think it was one of the interview questions. What are your cat's names?
Yeah.
She's like, this is why I should work here.
The thing about the
Let me
beer
pitch
names
it.
is the beer names are, and oh my God. So as I said to you, I said at the very beginning, Dane and Dom are basically inseparable. They literally finish each other's sentences. It's really quite endearing.
I
It's
got on the
also-
Zoom chat with you and them, and they are so funny, like together.
They are hilarious. They're honestly,
They are
they're
like they are like you can tell they're a pair.
very much so. Like it's genuinely quite sweet. Sometimes a bit irritating, but genuinely quite sweet, like by and large, and very entertaining. But they have such a distinct sense of humor and so many in-jokes, that so many of our beer names, when I go, oh, why have we named it that? They go, oh, because of blah, blah, blah. And then they'll be doing like this little double act, and then they finally get to the end, and I'm like, okay, cool, right, I'm gonna write this post
Great,
now.
yeah.
Like, cheers.
Like, I picture it being like my cat's birthday, and no one has a cat. They're all just like laughing about something, and you're like, "What's that from?" And they're like, my cat's birthday. It's our thing.
Honestly, they so many stupid things like that. But one of them, recently we did our all strata pale ale crush, which went down really nicely, and on the back of the can there's a QR code scan here, and I thought, oh, that'll be to like our web shop or something. And I scanned it, and it took me straight to the Spotify URL of the single Crush by Jennifer Page.
Yeah, I was
Cool.
wondering if that was good.
But okay,
Yeah.
great. Like,
Cool.
I'm so glad that we have that on the back of our cat, immortalized, just there. Just like, you know what, I love that. I think that's a wonderful touch. And they both they love it. They were so enamored with it. I've listened to that song more in the last 3 weeks than I had in the previous like years of my life. Like, genuinely, it does get played a lot. But there's very much a brand in the sense of humor, which I would describe in one word as stupid, and I love it.
I feel like that's like the best place to end, because I don't think we can like top that up. Because that is just like the most perfect place to end it, is just the brand of humor. Stupid. So I guess let's end it with, where can people find you guys, if you want to plug anything for you personally or anything, plug away.
So yeah, Phantom Brewing Co., based in Reading. We are planning to be able to open up as well for guests in line with the roadmap, so it'd be really lovely to see people come down and enjoy some beers with us. phantombrew.com, that's where we've got the blog, you've got the web store, everything like that. And on all social media, we're Phantom Brew Co. on absolutely everything. So yeah, keep an eye on that. We've got some nice tasty things in the web store at the moment. We've got our latest Phantom and Friends box with some stuff from some other breweries as well, and we've got lots of fun things in the pipeline. So give us a follow, and it's been a pleasure speaking with you, ladies.
That was such a brilliant time. I had the best time talking to Charlotte.
We're recording this, like, obviously you'll notice I'm in a different outfit because we
put
recorded it in the morning.
I was being smart. I put the same t-shirt on.
I should have. I've got my Phantom thing behind me as well. I should have just put that on, but I didn't.
Trying to sneak it.
Too tired, didn't think about it. We had the best night. We stayed up really late. We didn't even talk about marble races. I'm so mad.
We were putting the world to rights with Charlotte.
Yes.
It was great.
Right,
She's the
burning
best.
our bras and everything. It was brilliant.
Friend of the show, Charlotte. She's an official friend of the show now.
Yeah, it was a really good night, a really good discussion. I don't know how long the episode is going to end up being.
Yeah, I've got to edit it.
I promised her we'd keep it to an hour. Every guest were like, it will be an hour from log in to log out. And it hit the hour mark, and we were not even, I think we were like,
we hadn't even finished the
not
first
even
beer.
gone on the second beer yet. But there was no pressure, because we had a really good conversation. I think that just naturally flowed, as it does with us, off into other directions as well. So it was supposed to be talking about pub culture today, but we also talked about a lot of inclusivity and everything, and it was a really good discussion.
Yeah,
and
really good.
Really excited. When it open, I really cannot wait to go down there. I've never drank there. I want you to come. Oktoberfest. I hope they do Oktoberfest again.
I want to go to Reading for Oktoberfest. That sounds amazing.
It'll be fun.
So if you've got to this point, listeners and viewers, well done. You get a podcast gold star for listening to us all the way through. So we'll let you go. Tori, if people want to talk to you about marble races, where can they find you?
Yeah, if you want to find out more about marble races and how amazing they are, you can find me on Instagram at adventures_in_optimism. Where can people talk to you, Jo, about inclusivity?
If you want to come talk to me, I am a woman's brew on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. I need to get better at Twitter.
I don't even try it.
Yeah, I'm not very good at Twitter. Any tips about Twitter, let me know. If you want to
Won't come from me.
Yeah, come and check out my beer school. We are Love Beer Learning. That's on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, the TikTokies, Pinterest. Still growing all of that, so that's all there. Or you can come check out the website, lovebeerlearning.co.uk, or you can email us, lovebeerlearning@gmail.com. We pick up emails for the podcast there as well. Right.
That's it for us today.
Yeah, I'm
Cheers.
drinkless. Cheers, everybody.